Well, hello, everybody. It's just something about that music that have me like really, really bouncing it. I mean, it's something about it that, just make it feel like something big is getting ready to happen. And so I am so excited. Let me first thank Mars Parsons, Chief, for being on last night or last week with Pastor Quick from North Carolina. They did an amazing interview on last week's show. If you didn't get a chance to watch it, go back and take a look at it. But thank you so much for sitting in the seats of Ask the Brandmaster right here on KingCast. We get very excited when we have great guests that come on to share with us information that we can use that's going to be transformative to our life. And so it's one of those kind of nights. So go ahead. What I want to do right now, I want you to go ahead and tag, like, share this broadcast. We're on YouTube as well as Facebook. And go ahead and share it. It's going to be life-changing for you on tonight, right? So we have the privilege of having none other than Wynter Patterson. I'm not going to read her entire bio. I actually posted it in the broadcast notes today, so you can go and take a look at it. But I do have a clip that I'm going to run before I actually bring her on this evening. But I want to just say she is a phenomenal young lady. And I had the privilege of just watching the show Ready to Love. But even with that, so much of her character came through the screens to let you know really her upbringing. She is from a generation of pastors. Her herself have gone to Oxford University to get her certificate in theology. So she's my kind of girl. She know how to live, have fun, but also know how to love yourself and to love God, even in the midst of all of that. So I'm going to run this clip from one of the not really episodes, but just from the intro from the show that she was on the OWN network. So you can know for real who we have on the show on tonight. Okay. So get ready. Go ahead and tag, like, share, and even drop your comments on the broadcast in the thread so that we can see what you're saying tonight, But our topic and what we're talking about tonight is discover the real you when you love you first. I'll say it again, discover the real you, because some of us been playing around and we hadn't really been showing up for ourselves because we've been, kind of being this copy of somebody else. But when you love yourself first, when you find that love and you discover it, we know and we see the real you. And so that's what we're going to be talking about tonight, how you discover that. So go ahead, get your girlfriends on. Guys, you're welcome as well. And so without any further ado, let me introduce this clip to you.
In these crazy times, we need love more than ever. I gathered 20 eligible singles from my hometown of Houston and brought them here to live together under one roof on this beautiful resort, away from the outside world. Use your time here in paradise wisely. By the end, only 6 people will remain. This is Ready to Love, Last Resort.
Premieres Friday, October 23rd, 9/8 Central.
The weekend starts with OWN.
That has already passed, guys, but we're here because of that moment. We met Wynter Patterson through the screens on the OWN network on Ready to Love. So help me now welcome the Wynter Patterson. Hello, Wynter.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me in that wonderful introduction.
Awesome. It is so great to have you on to share with us on tonight. From my experience, my encounter with you, both from the screens of my bedroom, watching every episode, and then meeting you in person, you're such a jewel to the body of Christ. You're a jewel to womanhood. And I want to say thank you just for being who you are. And I want to share that with our live audience on tonight. So we're going to kick off this conversation. First, out of all the celebrity stuff, push that aside for a moment. Tell us who is Wynter Patterson, where you were raised. Tell us the whole backdrop of your abbreviated of your life.
Okay, abbreviated background. Okay. Well, as you mentioned, I was born in Grand Rapids, Michigan, to a family of pastors and leaders. My grandfather was a mega church pastor before there were mega churches. And so, I was raised with such just a rich background. I moved to Houston with my mom when I was young. Was raised in Houston, and I had the opportunity to really just develop in a very culturally diverse place like Houston. From there, I went on to college. I worked for Chase Bank for 15 years. I worked with the SBA, and now I do small business consulting. So, a little bit about me. I'm a person that loves God. I'm a person that has come a long way in my journey of healing. And it's so important to me to share everything that God has brought me through, everything that I learned, everything that I read. And that's who I am. I want to teach self-love and financial empowerment as much as possible. Every time God gives me the floor or a microphone, I'm talking about self-love and financial empowerment, because both of those things are our birthright. Right.
Yeah.
We're supposed to ourselves, and we're supposed to be abundant.
Yeah, that's awesome. So your background, the backdrop is you come from a Christian home, just a group of pastors who have been the forerunners for you into this place. And we know it looks very different than what they may have done. Your preaching style, your teaching style from a different place is much different than what they may have taught in the past. I want to talk about, normally when we get to this place, we're knowing our identity and knowing who we are. It comes from maybe a trial or something pushed us here. Some devastated moment made us get here. What got you to this place? Was it that, or what did you just arrive here?
It was a combination of a lot of things. I'll say this, when I first started out preaching and teaching, I came in with the high collar, and I came in with the lace handkerchiefs and the, small heels. I thought that that's what I needed to look like. I felt like I needed to sound like Cheryl Brady. And I felt like I needed to, kind of embody this idea of what, a female minister should look like and act like. And then God delivered me from all that.
Wow.
I said, I love you as you. I love you as I made you. And as I embraced that and I began to be myself, and it was scary at first because I said, who's going to accept me? Well, what if I wear this? What if I take the collar down a little bit? What if I show my shoulder? Is that, and those were the things that I battled with for a long time. And what I found is that the more I stepped into my authenticity, the more people were already waiting and cheering and saying, yes, this is what we want. We recognize you are the person that God sent to us. And that's where I am now.
Yeah. And it's a wonderful thing to see that we don't have to conform ourselves. I think as Paula says, we have to become all things to all people to win them. And there's some people out there that we will never get a chance as church pulpit preachers meet until we come into the world. We don't have to be worldly, but we can present the gospel from a different lens. And I love that, because that's exactly what you do. And so that has been something that I've watched even on your morning lives that have really inspired me, even as a gospel preacher as well. I want to talk a little bit about your journey with Ready to Love. How did that come about, and what was some of your finding learnings during that process?
Well, Ready to Love came, and I kind of want to touch on what you talked about the trials and tribulations that kind of got me to this, because I feel like y'all need to know that, right?
Yeah.
So, I shared this also on the program. I got married. What we did, what was the right thing. We waited until marriage and all of those things that we thought would create, a stable home environment and a lasting marriage for us. But that was not the case. And what I found is after my divorce was when I really, really began this whole self-love journey. Written books prior to my marriage about self-love and about healing, but they didn't have the depth that they had until my heart had been broken, until I had to seek God and really rebuild. And so it was a process. And so after my divorce, I waited years to even date. I think I waited maybe 2 years before I even started dating, because I became so, obsessed is a strong word, but that's the only one I can think of. I became obsessed with my own healing, with really just rebuilding and becoming all that God called me to be. And so in the process of this whole self-love and rebuilding process, literally, I got a call from the OWN network.
Wow.
I didn't seek them. I had never even seen the show Ready to Love. I had no idea that it existed. What happened was a good friend of mine. He was interested in going on the show. And he told the producers, like, listen, there's a lady that y'all really need to meet that I think will be an excellent candidate for the show. Like, you really need to talk to this lady. And so they called. I went through probably like 7 or 8 interviews. It was a very, very lengthy process. I think it was like 4,000 candidates that they narrowed down to 20. Long story short, my good friend who recommended me to the show didn't go. Like, he decided that he didn't want to be on the show for whatever reason. But I feel like God was opening the door for me. Like, this opportunity was for me. And so, it was a continued process of self-love, right? Because I had done all this healing and all this work to get prepared. And then you throw us on a resort with 10 men and 10 women. They figure it out. And so that was a self-love journey. That was, kind of recognizing who you are and separating the lights from the real and the reality from the stage and all of that. And so here I am today, and I'm thankful for that amazing platform. I met some amazing people, and, I have some of the best followers in the entire world. And I mean, that's
Yes. And you can tell that process. One of the things I paid close attention to, and it was very easy to see, easy for a person to lose themselves, because this is now, top of the line stardom. This is, you're on a platform where you went from, okay, people knew you, but now the world knows who Wynter Patterson is. And it was your time to really shine, have Christ shine through your life. And we saw that, not so much from a preaching standpoint, but you were very careful with every decision that you made. And you thought about, you didn't settle. I love that. You didn't settle. And if something didn't feel right, you were very well able to articulate, those moments. So I think that's what brought really life to where women can see, this is me. Wynter is me. That's a me there. That is something great that I have, that I carry. My life has been, had some trials and tribulations, but now I'm at this point where I'm ready to discover who I am. And you call yourself, you says, I am a pearl. I am a pearl. And you have a book that reflects this whole idea about being a pearl. What does that tell us a little bit about why you related to yourself as a pearl?
Absolutely.
And
So that book was written off of the scripture Mark 13:45-46, where he says the kingdom of heaven is like a merchant seeking fine pearls, and when he found one of great value, he went and sold all he had and bought it. And when I read that scripture and really prayed and meditated on it, God began to show me that we are the pearls. And we like a pearl. A pearl is not a beautiful process. The way that a pearl is formed, it is painful. It is an irritant. It is darkness, right? And some of the times where God developed us most, we were in darkness, right? A pearl is the only gem that has it's no two pearls alike. Like, just like us, there's so many similarities. And so I began to really break down that analogy, and it became a whole book and a whole tool to express God's love, that, nothing that we've been through, no darkness, changes our value.
Wow. And just a brief pin, where can people get that book? Because I want to get that for myself and for my daughter. Where do we get that book from?
That book is still available on Amazon. I believe mostly digital copies, because we were in the process of rewriting it. The first time I wrote it, and it's if I may say so myself, it's a very well-written book. It's a well-written book. And I use scriptures to express every, the reasons why. And I talked about everything from rape to, incest to, losing different things that we experience as women that are darkness that we don't talk about. Like I talked about all of those things.
Wow.
The process of rewriting it and writing it in a way where more people can accept it, but it's still available on Amazon and almost any Barnes and Noble, all of your bookstores.
Yes, that's awesome. Well, we will definitely reach out, and it's called I Am a Pearl, and it's praying with power, praying with power, prayer surge.
Well, there's two. The first one is I'm a Pearl, a woman's guide to understanding her pain, process, and purpose.
Okay.
And there's the Praying with Power, which is all about prayer. And that book is so anointed because I wrote it when I did like a 40-day prayer surge after my divorce.
Wow.
Like I had to get out of this pit that I was in emotionally because divorce is not it's not easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not. And sometimes when you're going through it, and I know even some of our listeners today, they may be in the midst of, something of that nature, but I've been through divorce myself, and it's nothing that it feels good. And in that moment, when you're in it, you don't see your today. You don't even know that this is possible. And so I think this is great that we have in this conversation of the transparency, that this was part of our process, going through those painful moments to get to where we are today. Now, I tag this because of just everything that you embody that I have learned and taken from this whole talk today, as far as discover the real you. Let's just stop right there. How do you discover the real you?
You know what? I think you have to, be really, really honest with yourself and have some real conversations with God. Yeah. Because what I find is that we want to fit in. We want to conform. We don't want to rock the boat. We want to, kind of look for who we look like. And, like that's our norm, to try to associate. Our brains are made to associate.
Wow.
And so as you decide that you're going to step out in authenticity, it's going to require you to pray for boldness and direction, so that you can really understand who you are. It's going to require, for some of you, lonely seasons.
Wow.
Being alone. Some weekends it's going to be just you and God and maybe a TV, and like it's going to require you getting alone with God and finding out who you are and being able to fully embody that. So it requires a long time. It requires a lot of courage. And you just have to do it. But what I tell you, the best reward of it is when you step into full authenticity, you are rewarded with the audience, the people, and the money that was already made and laid out for you.
Wow. Say that again.
Okay. I said, when you are walking in your authenticity, you are rewarded with the audience, the money, and the opportunities that were already created for you. Right?
Authenticity.
All the time that you got to understand that there is an audience that got created specifically for your voice, your look, your tone, your delivery. And when you are in authenticity, they can find you. When you're trying to look like sister so-and-so and her and him, and I want to sound like her and do this, it's okay to admire and maybe borrow some things from some people. But when you're trying to be someone else, your audience cannot find you.
Yeah. That is so true. That is so true. It's like you become in this whole, everything looks the same, and that's the good and the bad with social media, is because we find our identity, or some find their identity by looking at what somebody else is doing and say, oh, that is what I'm supposed to be doing. I love what you said. This is sometimes a lonely walk, and it's not so much that it's lonely you by yourself, but that's the only way you're going to be able to come into the reality of knowing who you are. What you like, what you don't like, is when you have those hard conversations with yourself. The second part of this question is loving you first. Okay. So as, a mother, as women, we often put other people before ourselves. And this goes along the line of self-care and all of those great benefits of loving you first. Can you talk a little bit about the importance of loving you first?
Oh my gosh. I feel like self-love is there's so many misconceptions around it. I feel like we're moving more into it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I saw a pastor the other day saying, "Oh, I just think self-love is a way for people to be selfish." And
Oh,
it broke my heart. Like
mm-hmm.
I was like, people don't really get it.
Mm-hmm.
That, the Bible says love others as we love ourselves.
Yeah.
And and I understand and I teach all the time that if God lives in me,
Mm-hmm.
as I love myself, I love God who lives in me.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so it is so important that you love yourself.
Yeah.
Everything is connected to self-love.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you are easily irritated, that's a self-love issue. If
Wow.
you got financial problems where you can barely make ends meet, that's a self-love issue.
Mm-hmm.
Right. If you can't get along with women, like I meet women like, oh, I don't fool with women, that's a self-love issue.
Wow.
Like there are so many things that are rooted in us really understanding and loving ourselves and nurturing ourselves and speaking life to ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
That
Mm-hmm.
it's invaluable.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Teach us just for a moment, because you really touched on something. Why is it a self-love issue when women say, oh, I gravitate towards this class or that class, or to men, or to where does that root come from? Because I think it comes from a place that maybe we haven't, really identified or dealt with yet.
Absolutely. The thing about it is if you can't love women, you can't love, like, that means I don't love myself. I don't love the image of myself. Like, this is someone who, biologically, spiritually is, the same in a lot of ways. And if I can look at you in my mirror and say, I don't love you, I don't love women, then that
Wow.
says I don't love,
Yeah.
like, it's almost like, the scripture, what does it say? How can you say you love God when you don't love your brother and sister whom you see every day?
Yeah. You never seen him. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And back to the same thing. As I love God, I love myself. So
Mm-hmm.
how can I say I love myself and I don't love my brother and sister that I see every day? Like
Everything.
it's the exact same thing. Like I always self-love is just powerful. Like it's the root of even success in your life.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times it's going to come down to self-love and your belief in your worthiness of the success that you desire.
Yeah. Yeah. And I find that very few women, we love each other from a distance, but when it's up close, there's always a challenge in a room to, for the competition of who's greater, who's better. What have been your observations with the world and the lens that you live from, with self-love and embracing? How has that been received? Because it's very rare, Wynter. It's very rare.
It's, what I find that people expect me to be, kind of like nose in the air or be some kind of way. And if you're around me, I come in the room, I'm speaking to everybody, I'm loving on everybody, I'm starting up a conversation, I want to support you. And it's not an act, it's genuinely like I love people.
Yeah.
I don't like everybody, right? Don't nobody like everybody. But I genuinely love people. I love to empower. I love to speak life. I love to be in a high vibrational room. And so, I come into the room and I'm me. I'm not trying to be nobody else. I'm, loving you. I hope you like me. If you don't, okay, I'm fine with that too.
Mm-hmm.
But that's where I am. It's like I want to just put out as much love and high vibrations and kindness as I can, because that comes back to me, number one.
Yes.
And number two, they say it all the time, but you just never know what people are going through.
Yes, that's it. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So why not be the light in the room and not the darkness, or the person that's sitting over there with your arms folded and lips turned up? Like, what's the point of that?
What's wrong with you? What lemon you just sucked?
Right. Right.
And I get that all the time. People say, why you smile so much? Why do you always smile? It's like, that's just, well, number one, I heard it, back in elementary school that it takes more muscles to frown than it does to smile. So I think it just became that, unaware, behavior that I have. I just love naturally smiling. I think, I was just at the hospital with my mom, and this guy, he's one of the nurses, and his name is John. So, he before previously when she had him, he was just so mean, so dry, whatever. So now he get a chance to meet me because I called him on the phone when my mom was there, and I say, listen, I need y'all to take care of my mother while she's there. Some of the stuff she don't understand, but I need y'all to take care of my mom. So he ended up, just kind of walking out the room. But today I get a chance to see John. And so John comes in the room, and my mom identifies, she said, that's him. I was like, John, how you doing? I said, John, you need some joy. You need some joy. And so as I left out of the room, he was sitting at the desk, and I was telling him I was leaving. It was something that exuded out of him. And then he just, was talking, and I said, okay, John, I'm getting ready to leave. But he said, okay, we're going to take care of your mom. So it takes, you never know. I said all that to say, we never know what people are going through or how they've been left to a particular life alone or by themselves. And just the little things that we can say can help, let them know that we're aware. We see you. We see you, your pain. We see your hurt. And I think that's the same thing with women. And that's something definitely that we have a benefit of doing, is just changing them just with a smile or just with a, how you doing, or just dropping our guards. Because most times we'll say, oh, I ain't going to be hurt by another woman no more. I'm not going through that with no girlfriends no more. And, we lose out.
We say, like, well, she didn't speak to me, so,
I'm not speaking to her.
Right. Right. Where, it just, just being the light, being that smile, it can go so far.
Yeah. What is next for Wynter? What's next for you?
Oh my goodness. I got a lot of things and a lot of irons in the fire, and I'm so grateful because God just keeps revealing, kind of things that I've prayed for over the years are starting to come into fruition. So I'm working on a show that'll be coming out soon. We're doing that. Working on a membership group where I can really, really pour into the people who want to hear me and want the type of teaching that I teach. Working on that. I got a 3-day branding boot camp that starts next week.
Yes. Yes. Talk about that. Talk about the boot camp for next week.
Yes. So I asked God, I said, how can I give back? Because I have my courses. And then I wanted to create something very small and bite-sized that people could take and they can apply it to their lives, to their business or their social media, and begin to see revenue, right? Because that's what we're in it for. We don't just work because it's fun. We work because we want to get paid.
Yeah.
So
we want to be rewarded.
Creating, what'd you say?
I said, we want to be rewarded.
That's it. So one of the ways you do that is by creating a solid and identifiable brand, but most of us don't really know how to do it. So I'm going to do 3 days. It's going to be an hour workshop a day with some homework where you can actually put some things in place, because a strong brand, you don't have to market as much. People will come to you. And that's what I want to teach.
Well, that's what you are teaching. This is so exciting, and those that are online, guys, connect with this 3-day boot camp, because it's going to lead to something else. There's more when you begin to discover your
dollars. I forgot to say that. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. What you say?
Only $37.
That's it. Come on. And that's enough where you can buy your spot and you also can sponsor someone else. I mean, that's a great thing. If you know a sister that really need to invest in themselves and maybe they having challenging times, I mean, it's easy for you to buy a, two for the price of one. This is very, very affordable for you to be able to do that. It's going to be exciting to see how this unfolds, because one of the things is, I know you're not trying to duplicate yourself, but you're trying to get people to have the same dream and fire to go after their dreams. And the best way to do that, as everybody knows, I know it firsthand as the Brandmaster, when you brand yourself, according to Jeremiah 1:5, before we were even formed in our mother's womb, God had a God idea about us. He knew us. And so it's important for us to find out what that idea is, what that purpose is, and then learn how to monetize it.
There you go.
Right? Learn how to monetize it. So anything else you want to share with us about, I know you talked about a show. Can't wait to hear more about that. Have you come back and share it with everybody how that develops. But anything else you want to share with us, just from a thought or just from an inspirational, your heart, that you want to share with the audience tonight?
I just, I really want to speak life to you and just say, continue to work on loving yourself. You're going to trigger. Don't get to this place that a lot of people get to this. Oh, well, I love myself, I'm good. One thing that I teach and that I understand about self-love is that it is an ongoing process. It's up and down, it's in and out. Sometimes I'm good, sometimes I'm not. Sometimes I uncover issues that are not healed. And that's part of my journey too, right? To get down on my knees and say, God, show me how we can heal this. Help me to not be triggered by this. Help me to forgive this person, because self-love forgives.
Yeah.
And so just, this journey of self-love it is continuous. It is constantly changing as you change. But as you honor yourself, as you love yourself, you love God. So keep going.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being with me. Stand by. I want to talk to you just for a brief moment in backstage. I'll be back with you guys. You've heard Wynter Patterson, amazing gift to the body of Christ and to womanhood. I want to encourage you guys, connect with her on her social media, Wynter Patterson. You can find her on Instagram as well as Facebook. Follow her so you can keep up with all the great things that she has going on and how you can become a part of that. Just wanted to encourage you also. We have a couple of things that are coming up that we want you to stay in tune with. We have the mind mapping masterclass. You'll hear more about that, but it's more about taking your idea and creating a plan of action. A lot of us have this on the inside of us, but for some reason, it just stays. It stays up here. And until you put it on paper, it's just an idea, right? It's just an idea. So want to help you be able to take it from your head and put it on paper. So we have a masterclass, a one-day masterclass. We'll be sharing with you one real soon. The day is going to be a one-day class where you can actually go through that process and see your dreams come into reality. Thank you guys so much for being with us. Additionally, this person is going to be with me real soon. I'm going to be interviewing this man, Randy Lewis Harden, real soon, from our book called Not Easily Broken. As you know, earlier this year, we did do a Power Couple Summit. It'll be coming back again next year. But I want to talk to this gentleman. Guys, if you don't have this book, I want to encourage you to give us a call, because it's not in Amazon just yet, but I want you to give us a call so you can get your copy. We love you. God bless you. And remember, go discover the real you, because that's when you understand that you are the first person that you should love. And you can't give nobody else you until you really discover really who you are. So God bless you. Thank you so much, Lane, for being with us on tonight. Thank you, everybody in the chat who's been chatting with us. Can't call everybody by name, but thank you so much for being with us. And don't stop. Share this broadcast with someone else. Definitely, we need sisterhood. We need, let me see if I can do it. We need love. We need love. God bless you. We'll see you real soon.